Another dumb question about being a producer, and then I want to ask you about Stephen King, and we'll move on because I want to ask you writer-related questions. I know that's what we're here to talk about, but I had this assumption. I like having my assumptions challenged. So I assume that when you're a producer with your IMDb page, with people looking at you, I assume with stars in their eyes, because I had some friends that went off to Hollywood to be actors. Some had some success, some not. At least one is just gay now and happy. Like, yes, get out of the small Indiana town, go be happy. But I assume that because I've seen literary agents at conferences, and nobody is more popular at a writers' conference than a literary agent or an editor. Everybody wants to be their friend. Hello, can I get you something to drink? You need a shoulder massage? Let me just slip my manuscript under the bathroom stall so you could take a look at that. Those terrible things that writers do. Is there some of that when you're walking around at a Hollywood event or something where people come up and they want to pitch you their ideas for shows or things?
Not as much as you would think. I think the difference is I'm very proud of my career, but there in Hollywood there are the star people. I think I am sure that Mr. Spielberg cannot walk down the street without somebody trying to hand him a script. I would say the same thing is probably true for Ron Howard, and you can pick a handful of those players out. I think for those of us that are, I'll call us in the lesser known ranks, where we have careers, we have names, we have all of that. But nonetheless, we don't resonate in that manner. I think there's less of that for us. There just is. People don't pay attention because they're chasing the shiny object, and we're not shiny. And
really?
I think and by the way, I think that's a very good thing. I don't find that, I don't say that in a bad thing, but that's exactly it. You go to a lit conference and people aren't looking for the person who's made some television. They're trying to get to that guest literary agent because that's the shiny object that's there. There may be 4 other literary agents in the room, but they're not digging down for that. So they're chasing the one that they know. And I think there's a lot of that goes on at conferences across the board. Now, when I sat at a studio job, I was chased a lot more.
Does that get you to a point where you learn to see through people a little better? And like, is this person, are they genuinely being friendly, or is this hey, let me give you a shoulder rub so I can throw my pitch in there at some point? Do you develop a sharp eye for that?
I don't distinguish between the two. When I go to a conference, because that's sort of where we put this question. When I go to a conference, I'm there to be at a conference. I'm there to hopefully impress people with my work. And if people are trying to impress me with their work, good for them. There's no line. I think one of the things you have to know is who are your friends, who are your colleagues, and who are conference people. And I think they're just layers. And I think there are ugly people that can exist in all of those categories. Surprise. Yes, we know you thought they were your friend, but they were friends till the end, and that was the end. So I think there are all of those things that happen. But I think in general, your job is not to say, wow, I sat down with this person at this writers' conference, so now we're besties. Like, I think you have to manage expectations, but you go. I mean, I was at BoucherCon and I met a gentleman. His name is Christopher Sikorsky, and he runs Bolo Books. And I was fortunate enough to have a conversation. It's an extraordinary review site for mystery writers. I mean, I cannot say enough about he and Joanne Love, who runs Drew's Books Musings. These are 2 websites that do this, much like you, for the love of a genre, to help promote people. I mean, you can't ask for better people. I am grateful to call them both colleagues. Perhaps one day I'll call them both friends. But I'm grateful to call them both colleagues, to know them, to be able to respect them, to be able to tout them. You and I have met. I am grateful to call you a colleague, and hopefully one day to call you a friend. I think people have fake expectations. I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody trying to put their best foot forward. It's simply the defining line is being able to understand when somebody is saying to you, now is not a good time. Or thank you, but this isn't why I can help you. You know, those kinds of things. And part of your job is learning. It's not so much to take no for an answer, but it's learning to read a room. It's learning to understand. Don't cut this conversation off because you want to say, I have a book. Let that conversation finish.
That makes sense.
And I think a lot of people just don't, you know, it's like, well, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to go out there. And it's like, okay, but even in boldness, there are manners.
There should be anyway.
Right.
when it's done right. Just curious.